Came across a case the other day in the Metro newspaper, which I think exemplifies a particular problem in our justice system. The report's not very long, so I'll just read it out. Put a link in the video as always, and then share my thoughts on this. This is from the Metro. This a few days ago. Two female thugs battered their ex-boyfriend's new loves with their stilettos out of jealousy, a court heard. Chloe Morris and Kelsey Darby, both 24, were ordered to leave the Black Swan pub after verbally abusing Jessica Earp and Jodie Westwood. But the pair waited outside shouting abuse, and when the victims left the pub in Nuneaton, Warwickshire at midnight, Morris removed her shoe and smashed Miss Earp in the face. When Miss Westwood tried to defend her friend, Morris hit her with her other shoe while Darby kneed and kicked her on the ground. Stuart Clarkson, prosecuting, said Miss Westwood had multiple puncture wounds on the head and face, while Miss Earp had similar injuries to her head and was bleeding from the ear. Morris and Darby, both of Nuneaton, admitted wounding and assault on December 7th, 2018, when they appeared at Warwick Crown Court. Sentencing them, Judge Anthony Potter said a stiletto shoe is intended by most women to add an element of sophistication and glamour, but there was nothing remotely glamorous or sophisticated in the way you conducted yourselves outside the Black Swan. Morris received a 2-year suspended sentence and 150 hours of unpaid work. Darby was sentenced to 20 months in prison, suspended for 18 months, and ordered to do 120 hours of unpaid work. Both were ordered to wear electronic tags and pay the victim a total of £300. Victims. Okay, the headline, by the way, is Stiletto Thugs Spared Prison for Pub Attack on Love Rivals. Doesn't name the report, just says Metro Reporter. Um, if this was like a one-off, I would think, okay, there might be some extenuating circumstances. But time and time and time again, I read these cases where violent women escape custodial sentences. Why? Why? Um, It doesn't go in huge detail there about the injuries, but you can imagine a stiletto is a semi-sharp, solid um, apparatus. You know, it can cause serious damage, especially if swung by force. Um, to me, that absolutely should have been a custodial sentence. It was an unprovoked assault. This was pre-planned because they waited outside the pub. It wasn't just like a sort of spur of the moment thing. Um, okay, they're paying a fine. One of them has to wear an electronic tag. This is yet another pathetic sentence that is meaningless. Um, Suspended sentences, I really don't understand the point of them. Um, so this is just another example of violent women getting off the hook. You know, it happens so regularly. The vast majority of inmates in this country are men. Now, people might retort the majority of criminals are men, but I would say that there seems to be a reluctance by judges to jail violent women. Another high profile case recently, I forget the name of the defendant, but it angered me at the time. And I've quoted it a few times because I think it's relevant, and it does directly relate to her gender. She caused disruption at 30,000 feet. She got blind drunk on a flight from the UK to, I think it was Cyprus. She assaulted, not just verbally, physically assaulted airline staff. What happened? She got some community service, no custodial sentence. Now, to me, disrupting a flight, an enclosed space, is an extremely serious offence. She should have been in jail. Why did she escape jail? Because she was a single mother. That was literally the rationale the judge used. But why not the same logic for a single father? You know, if let's say there was a child and he had no mother, she was dead or just wasn't there, and it was a single father, surely the same logic would be used, or will the child need a parent? But I don't think it would be. I think that whilst I think there's a problem in general with justice in this country, I also have a problem with violent men sometimes getting sentences that are too lenient. At least in most cases, violent men will get a custodial sentence. One could argue it's too lenient often and too short, but at least it's custodial. Violent women frequently get off the hook. Um, Now, maybe there's mitigating circumstances here. Maybe they show profound remorse. But This was a pre-planned attack, so it's very plausible they'll do it again because I think this sort of thuggish ladette culture. I think there's a lot of complacency around it. Violent women are just as bad as violent men. In fact, if you look at nightclub bouncers or doormen, they will often say that violent women are far worse to deal with. On the grounds they can, if they're blind drunk, they can use yell rape if a doorman tries to handle them. That's why they're increasingly getting door women. Um, but I think it's disgraceful. Where's the deterrent? Um, doesn't say the extent of the injuries, but it just seems time and time again we see cases like this where violent women escape a custodial sentence, where violent men would be jailed. It's wrong. Of course, feminists would have nothing to say about it. Whilst they're busy complaining about the gender pay gap, they're silent when it comes to the inequality of sentencing, the fact that men routinely get sentences that women wouldn't get. So I'm an egalitarian. I believe that it should be exactly the same sentence. I don't think gender should be considered at all, including single mothers. I would suggest if you're getting blind drunk at 30,000 feet, you're a bad mother. And what sort of example is that? So, put the child into some sort of temporary custody. There could be relatives, there could be alternatives, but I don't think there's justification for letting someone off the hook just because of their status as a single mother. And that's what happened in that case. And by the way, that's not, I don't want people to think I'm just attacking single mothers here. There's a lot of single mothers who are good, decent people and do try to be responsible. I'm just saying in that particular case, that was a rationale used by the judge. It's wrong. So, frankly, I'm sick and tired of seeing violent thuggets get off the hook. You might say, oh, well, Nathan, they got fined, they got community service. Okay, but it's a violent assault. Does it match the gravity of the offence? I guess it would depend on the extent of the injuries of the victims. Maybe the injuries are more artificial, so that's why. But somehow I think even if these have been life-changing injuries, I read another case recently. You lose track of these things because there's so many of them. I read another case recently where the victim had life-changing injuries. Female victim attacked by a woman. Again, it was a pathetic sentence. I don't think it was a custodial sentence. Um, it's wrong. If you believe in equality, then you believe that men and women should get the same sentence. And that's my challenge to feminists. If you really, really do believe in equality, then you'll agree with me. These women should have got a custodial sentence. If you say they shouldn't have for X, Y, and Z reason, then at least be consistent. At least say, okay, men shouldn't get it for X, Y, and Z reason. Maybe you think that prison doesn't work, whatever. But at least be consistent about it. I think it's wrong. But at least their names are known now, so hopefully the reputation will cost them.